Greetings from London. This is Maryum, Sharif, and welcome to the Star Moguls podcast. Today's guest is one of Dubai's finest dancers, choreographers, and creators. I am delighted to welcome Rhea Harmoush.
How are you? Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Rhea. How are you? And you're actually not in Dubai right now. You're actually in Athens. I looked on your Instagram. I was like, she's in Athens, I think. She's not even in Dubai. So, how did you get there?
I had to get out of the heat just for a bit. I needed a little bit.
Oh, that's what it is.
Then also, our discussions all started off when I was in Dubai and the talks were in Dubai.
Yeah, so, and I was like, we were trying to do time zones, and I was like, oh, where are you? I'm in Athens. I was like, okay, great. So how are you finding? Is it your first time there?
No, actually it's not. I came a few times before. I come here to dance primarily. That's how I started. Really? Yeah. And so, no, I was just here actually 3 months ago, but it feels so different because I arrived in a lockdown.
Yes,
so
yes.
restaurants were closed, the gyms were closed, everything was closed. So the streets seemed like a ghost town. And so being back in the same area, I'm like, I barely recognize it because it's filled with people are out shopping.
Yeah.
So it almost feels it's my first time now.
Rhea, you know how I discovered you? It was last year in lockdown, and I actually had COVID. I'd come back from Dubai, and I wasn't feeling too well. And so I was on Instagram, and I just saw the most energetic and positive videos of yours. It just put a smile on my face. So I absolutely loved it. How's it been through the whole year of not being able to probably do the things that you normally do during COVID?
To be very honest, it was a bit of a shock to me. I felt a bit like the whole world is going through this, but
how did it personally affect you?
Yeah, to say the least, me, you said at the beginning, I'm a very energetic person. I always, my days always jam-packed, from the minute I wake up to the end of the night. I'm always very, very busy. I'm not busier than someone else, but I'm just jumping from one thing to the other. So if I'm not dancing, I'm teaching. If I'm not teaching, I'm training. If I'm not training, I'm choreographing something, or I'm, pitching an idea to clients, or I'm in a client meeting, and there's always something going on. Some sort of an ambitious thought, a creative project and all of a sudden, everything just went on pause. And, first day, second, third, at a certain point, I remember feeling one thing. I remember feeling like lost, because I just felt that there was so much that needed to come out of me that wasn't being released.
Your expression,
or and just being home, and there's not much creativity in a home, right? It just almost felt off. It felt out of character. So that's where I think the biggest struggle came in. And then, of course, yes, the stress, you start to think, how am I going to make money? This is how I pay my bills. This is how, and as creative as you're trying to get, this is really at the beginning, before things started to move online and people started giving cuts online. I'm talking really early on, where it was just very new to everyone. I panicked a bit, I have to say. I remember thinking, how am I going to make money? How I make money is by seeing people, by interacting. And then I constantly was in touch with my friends who were working in a corporate job, and they're just waking up just like a regular other day. And the only difference is that instead of sitting behind the desk in their office, they're just sitting on their dining room table. But their work is still going, their salaries are still being paid. And that's when you start to feel when the world is going somewhere and you're almost pulled back, you start to panic. So yes, it was a little bit of a panic mode, until you have to adapt, and you just got to do what you got to do. And I got inspired by a lot of people.
You just hit the key word, adaptability. I think that's probably the biggest, I think, learnings that anybody can have, is to adapt, because we're all going to change. Life changes, and every moment life changes, but to be adaptable in your circumstances is quite a skill, and it takes a strong mindset as well, doesn't it? So
100%.
did you discover new skills in your in creative lockdown?
Say, without it being a sponsored ad, TikTok was everyone's best friend at the time. And then given the fact that the platform is singing and dancing primarily, I was like, okay, this seems like something I could do.
Yeah.
So I think it was more of like, yes, I did things to just bring the positivity to it, you know, instead of,
Yeah.
yes,
And
I was feeling sad and upset. And obviously I had some people even asking me on social media, like, oh, how are you not affected by COVID? And I'm like, I am, but I just choose to move past it. So like, yeah, we were caught, me and my husband, doing funny things. I would just, 24 hours, there's not much to do. So I'd be like, just create something. I need you in this video. And then he was like jumping on board doing these silly things. And we were just trying to have a good time, trying to make the best of it. From there, things just started to unfold. I did some videos online. I did teach online as much as I could, obviously. And yeah, like I said at the beginning, it was adapting to what we were calling a new norm, and you just have to go with it, because I think that was the only way I could have at least given myself a chance to see if there was potential to still have my job somehow rolling at the time.
Yeah. What did you discover about yourself during COVID, the COVID times where you were stuck at home?
Good question. I think what I discovered is, like how they say we're in constant fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
I always feel like maybe if things get really rough, I may not be able to handle it. I think COVID kind of showed me that I can, I guess. Like you're stronger than you think you are, and not to act like we as dancers or choreographers got it worse than anyone else. Obviously not. Everybody got it bad during COVID, but to a certain extent we did. The entertainment industry didn't come back until the very end, like even until now, entertainment, Dubai or even here, like it's the most delayed, so yeah, we had to hit longer, if I may say. Most of the people that I work with, freelance dancers, they haven't worked a day since March 2020.
It's been really difficult. Like even with myself, I work on red carpet and corporate clients, and so there's no red carpet, there's no events, and so how can I do my job if but again, we have to adapt and discover our own selves and our own strengths. So that's a realization that I think many have had.
I realize is that there's a lot you can do. There is a lot you can do. We think that we're restricted. We think in terms of creativity or styling or whatever it is that we do, that it like if it doesn't work this way, then it's going to be hard to redo. Actually revamping and redoing and adapting and changing ways and taking a different path is possible in the artistic industry. It's just that you have to be ready to go through a bit of a hustle, a bit of a rough time, a bit of trial and error. Yeah, maybe there's so many things I did try. Yeah, I noticed it didn't work. It wasn't like from the get-go, like, oh, I moved things online, boom, things started happening.
Yeah.
You kind of have to try, see what works, take something from that, put it somewhere else. So I think that's the key element, is that you can discover things that you did not know you had potential within yourself. I think COVID kind of like opened up those little doors for me, at least, to see within myself.
Yeah, and I think if one is creative, then if you're in creative in that process continuously, what happens is that you will find a way, because your mind is open, right? There's no kind of boundaries when it comes to creativity. So you're always looking at options. You're always in that kind of mode of creativity where the energy is flowing. So it might have been a shock to the system at first, but then at the end of the day, you do think, and I think it's all part of evolving, isn't it? It's part of evolving as a person and rebranding, as I always say. So you're rebranding for every chapter. So it's just I feel like it's just made you a better creative. It taps into those things that you didn't probably realize about yourself.
It makes you tap into that, and it makes you tap into your own mind. And that was the biggest challenge for me, is that I had to really conquer myself, like mentally first. And although I did feel like I need to dance, I need this energy to come out, I need to move, I need space, I need outdoor, but truly it was the mental the mental struggle that I had to overcome. And that was a thing that I felt COVID really gave me. Like I'm a different person to what I was last year.
Challenged you.
It challenged me mentally. And while I was upset that I don't know when I'm going to be on stage next, I don't know when I can choreograph, I don't know if I'm going to get these jobs again, I started to see things like, oh wow, I could actually still perform in the vicinity of my home, maybe to a screen, but it is a means of performance, right? Like I was lucky enough to have internet connection, to have, a pen and paper to draw an idea, to have a platform, to have an audience that appreciate what I do, that give me life, in return. So I started to see things that I was really grateful for. I'm like, you know what? I get to perform online. I get to perform for a camera. I get to teach people outside of, the country that I live in. So when I just started to see, even if it was like 10, I'm like, wow, 10 people from the world are online right now. You just have to change your perception. And when I started to just focus on that positivity, things started to unfold in a better manner for me.
Yes, exactly. Opening your mind to new opportunities, which we all have creative. So let's take you back right to the start. So born in the States, raised in Lebanon, and you ended up in Dubai. So how amazing mix of cultures, by the way. So how did you discover throughout that whole process of your teenagers or growing up, what was the point where you decided, okay, like I like dance, like this resonates with me? What is that point did you discover yourself as like, I could do this, where it makes me happy?
All right. So I've been dancing since I was 5. So that I think like a lot of young children, they start very, very young. But obviously at that age, I could not remember back then if that was the time where I was like, this is it. I knew that I loved it a lot. Again, like any other child, I teach kids at the moment, 3 years old onwards, and I could tell that the ones that it's in their blood, they do it probably all day at home with their parents, not just in my dance class. And there was a little bit of a turning point where I felt, no, I want to be a dancer, basically. So, and it's not just a hobby, it's not just something I do on a Friday afternoon. So I started when I was 5 back in the US. And I started doing ballet and tap dance. So those are the 2 styles I started with.
Right.
And soon enough, I moved to Lebanon, as you mentioned. I moved at the age of 7, and I continued dancing there.
And how was it living in Lebanon in dance being? Was it exposed to people?
I'm happy at that. Like there were dance schools, yes. There were dance teachers, yes. The level, was it as good as the US? No, by all means, no. Were there styles that were still not trending in Lebanon that were happening in the US? Yes. So I think Lebanon just had the basics. So for instance, throughout the years, there was no hip hop in Lebanon. I remember thinking, where can I do hip hop? Yeah. Can you imagine? I'm like, I didn't know any hip hop teacher. And so there was like modern, there was street jazz.
Yeah.
Sort of like what they wanted to look like hip hop, but it wasn't. And in hip hop, I don't know if everyone knows this, but there's several styles of hip hop. There's popping, there's locking, there's so many things. So yes, I remember thinking that Lebanon is not the place that's going to give me the education as a dancer that I would have gotten in the Western world. But nonetheless, I did my ballet there. I did modern. I did jazz. And soon enough, I started developing this love, like real love. And I was very curious. I remember feeling very curious. I'm like, oh, and again, mind you, there was no Google, there was no YouTube. To like watch a video and think, oh, I want to do this, like as simple as that, as kids would do nowadays. So I would just like probably get to a dance class, and prior to my dance class, I'd see my teacher in the studio. I'd peep through the window, see her rehearsing for something. I'll notice that it's a different style to what I do. I'll ask, they'll tell me it's contemporary. I'm like, ooh, what's this contemporary? Like, this looks nice. So that's how I would discover what contemporary was. And then I'll take a class, and then 2, and then, so I think I would say at the age of 15 was my turning point. So I was just, this regular girl taking classes here and there. I had 1 or 2 teachers back then, and maybe I would go 2 hours or 3 hours a week maximum. Then I was like, no, I want to dance more than 3 hours a week. It definitely doesn't do it for me. And I started, like I said, asking around. So I want to do contemporary, and I want to do hip hop, and I want to do this, and I want to do 4 hours of ballet a week, 5 hours of ballet. So I started like nagging on my parents, like, oh, I want to go to this school. Oh, I heard about this teacher. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. And they're like, well, I'm not going to be paying for all these dance classes. I can pay for 1 a week. The rest, figure it out. So long story short, I
How was the response? Because, usually, parents, but like Asian, Arab, South Asian parents, like very strict on education, and to explore anything creative was kind of frowned on. First get your degree and then do it if you want to. Is that how it works?
I was really good in school, so I think that's why they didn't tell me no. And they knew how much I love dancing. They're like, as long as you're getting the grades, as long as you're not a rebel in school and dropping out of your courses, we're good. But it was more of a financial aspect because it costs a lot of money to pay for all these classes. They're like, listen, what we can financially afford right now is to give you 2-3 hours on a Friday afternoon. That's about it. And again, like transportation, all that. So I'm like, great, I got to deal with my teacher. I'm like, perfect. At the age of 17, I'll never forget, I had my own, 16, I had my own class. So she gave me one of the younger classes to teach. And she told me, well, as long as you teach this class, and you also create a show for them for our school show, you do the choreography, you do everything, you're more than welcome to take the classes. So I started taking all the classes.
Wow.
And in a way it worked for me because I was just really, really hungry to dance. And so the more you gave me to do, the happier I was, and so that was my bargain.
That was a good indication that this is your path.
Yeah, I say this until now, actually, but don't quote me. Like, if I could do my job for free, I would do it. I would still do it. That's when people ask me, like, how do you know what your passion is? But probably this is a separate discussion. I'm jumping fast. I'll always say, like, if it is something you would do for free, forget that you have to pay bills. We all have to pay bills. Then that probably sits within something you love and which is the passion. And until today, like, if I did need to pay some bills and stuff, I would do my job for free.
When I was teaching, I taught young people how to get into their industry, and they would ask me we don't know. But, young kids, teenagers, they don't know. And I used to say the same thing. Something that makes you jump out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
Secondly, do it for free. Like, if no one paid you, like, would you do it? And that is a great indication that you can do it forever and ever and not get paid. And you have to, it has to sit with you. But many people start a profession and they think that they want to do it. And there's lots of friends of mine who did makeup and styling, but their heart wasn't in it, and they stopped. They lagged behind. And so, if you continue to do something forever and year on year, and your passion still grows or is still there, that means, like, of course it's not going to go. So I think some people join something or because they think it's on trend or it's something that they should do, but it really has to come from the heart, right? It's got to be heartfelt. Like, I can't do anything if I don't love it. But
you need to want to do it, like you said, like the first thing that you think of when you wake up in the morning. You're excited to do it. It's not like, I don't want to do this anymore. And you need to do it despite the rejections, despite the failure, despite the not getting work for X amount of weeks, for a month, for 2, the hustle, and in the world that we live in, which is the creative, artistic world, there is a lot of rejection. There is so much rejection, and you got to love it more than having your ego get into the way, or feeling crushed and wanting to quit. So there's so much factors. And so going back to I just had that moment at the age of 15, 16 where I'm like, I need to do this full on. And so throughout my life, whatever I did, so whether it was my school, university, my entire college degree, I was dancing in parallel. I just went to school, I did my courses, I passed, I did well, actually. I was a good student.
Yeah, you actually studied BA economics.
Yeah, exactly. I was really good in school. I had good grades. But for some reason today, like if anyone were to tell me, would you go back to school? I'd be like, no. It's like something I don't want to do anymore. Yeah, I'll go back to a dance school maybe, but not to like memorize things and do exams. I hated that. But as long as I was, juggling it with something else that I was doing, even work. Like I came to Dubai after that, and I took on my first job.
So when did you go from Lebanon to Dubai?
Right. Yeah. So I finished
Did dance take you or something else?
No, not at all. It was a dance. It was just graduating from university. I graduated with an economics degree. Don't ask why I'm not doing this right now. And
I loved economics when I was at boarding school. I absolutely, it was my favorite subject. So, so you graduated with economics and decided that.
And I'm like, I need to get a job. Right. So I started interviewing, and not for a second did I think like my career is going to be dance, because I was brought up in an Arab family. And for us, it was like, of course you're going to go to college. Of course you're going to get a degree, because dance is not really a degree, as much as my parents are super, they're amazing. They're so supportive. Their mindset is not conservative at all.
Open-minded parents.
But they were just also like, I have to give it to them that they didn't know any better. They didn't have facilities in Lebanon that give you like on whenever you're applying for college, like dance, or it wasn't in there in the curriculum, like it was just like business, I don't know, medicine, engineer, lawyer, So for them, I think in the Middle East region, that's not really a career unless you're brought up in the Western world, where you can play basketball professionally in the NBA and make millions, and. There wasn't the equivalent, I think, back then in sports in general. So I'll put dance within it. So my mindset was just going with what my parents have taught me, like, you need to do your degree. I went for economics because I was quite interested in the subject, and I graduated. And so now with this degree, I'm like, I need to find a job, and I applied to Dubai, and I got my first job in advertising in a company called Leo Burnett, for those who know it. And I stayed in that job for 9 full years.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
So dance did not take me there, but definitely dance was what it accompanied me along the way. And like on the first day that I stepped into my corporate job, I was like on the search of where can I dance? So
do you think that you kind of converted your, maybe was it like a hobby then, and then you made it into kind of a career? Or
it was more than a hobby. It was really, really a passion, but I just was maybe blinded by the fact that I cannot do this full time, because it will not make me money. It will not pay my rent. Who knows what the future holds for me? A lot of things that I used to think of, I do not think of anymore. And I have a completely different mindset of these things. And I'm glad we're having a chat, because if there's anyone out there that is watching this, maybe a young teenager thinking, I want to be a dancer, but is scared, was once upon a time in my shoes thinking, I was told that you can't make a career. But another thing that a lot of parents tell their kids, like, you could get injured, and what if you're injured and you can't dance anymore? What do you do then? I'm like, okay, the amount of people that have been injured and bounced back are far higher than the people that were injured and could never do it ever again. And so many things again, like I did not know back then. Today I have more education. I had to unlearn things to learn new.
That's it. Exactly. It's such an important point, because they come from a different generation, and society's different, options were less, and kind of discovering more options as we explore ourselves and kind of come to understand our own selves. So
and parents are parents, right? They will forever be worried for us. I'm 36 years old today, and until now they're like, oh, careful when you cross the street. Like, they're just worried, all the time. And I don't know if it is the same in your culture, but like my parents, my Lebanese parents are like, they just see us, they're kids, always and forever. And so
never kind of grow up in their eyes, which is very sweet.
Very sweet. They have this protective nature. And I think back then I never had this rebellious attitude, like, no, I'm going to go to dance school, blah, blah. I was just more of like, I want to please mom and dad. But today I don't really agree with that. And I wish that they were more like, you know what? you know, throw yourself at the deep end of the ocean. I'm sure you're going to make it. I'm sure they saw the passion. I'm sure they saw that I would do well in it, but they were just worried, you know, and so the fear and the protection came stronger to them. And so that's where, you know, they probably tried to push me more into get your degree, have this as a fallback option, you know.
Yes, backup. Yeah, exactly. Just in case you don't make it as a dance or whatever you want to do. But what did your corporate world teach you about dance? Did you take any lessons from corporate to
so much,
really?
So much.
Do you want
That's
to share
why a lot of times I get asked in interviews or podcasts, whatever, like, do you regret not doing dance, going to a dance school at the age of 18? I do not regret it at all, because I'm dancing with full passion today until today. I never once dropped in terms of loving what I do. Yes, maybe I would have had like my skill set would have been slightly, you know, I mean, a little bit higher in terms of a level or whatever. That's for sure. If I was training 8, 9, 10 hours a day for 3-4 years, do the math, that it makes sense. But I gained a lot of other things that I probably wouldn't have been able to gain. And yes, so my corporate job, and it so happened to be an advertising job, which is all about creativity, putting together a campaign, putting together an idea, strategizing, all that. So it definitely helped. It helped me as a dancer in terms of management, and as a dancer in terms of creativity. And a lot of the learnings, and it goes both ways, by the way. So a lot of the learnings that I had from dance and my dance studio, I also took into my corporate job. So committed, dedication, like committing to something. So yeah, little things here and there, definitely. Learning how to manage upwards, you know, the things that you learn in a corporate job.
Yes,
I use those things in the dance world, because this is the world that we live in, you know. Managing competition, all those things. So yes, definitely. And I felt there was a parallel life somewhere, you know, happening, that I felt I definitely learned in one place and took it to the other.
So when did you leave this corporate world behind and decided that, okay, you know, 100% into my dance? When was that move? When did you decided to like cut off the you know, the I'm not doing it anymore.
To be honest, there was not like a one moment, like this is it, you know, the epiphany that other people have. I wish I could say it happened to me like that, because it would sound like a cooler story. But
people, you know, and then sometimes it's such a great point, Rhea. Like, so I think people just have this, they think that it's one moment. Sometimes it is an epiphany, or sometimes people think, okay, this was the moment that, like, you know, was so striking. And some people do it gradually, and some, you know, you have to do it accordingly to how it is for you, right?
Yeah, I think for me, it happened. There were moments. I think I didn't really read through the signs. And it took me a bit of time to put things together and to connect the dots backward. I love this. I took this from Steve Jobs. He always says, in life, you connect the dots backwards. And I remember feeling that, oh my God, that's why this, that's why 2 years ago, maybe I meant to do this because that happened, you know. So I was connecting dots backward, and there were signs. So if it didn't happen to someone as like straight up that one day where you wake up and life changed for you, it's okay. It could change for you, but it just needs to be gradual. So for me, I'm not a risk taker, and I'm not this person that just like, you know, dives head first and you know, hopes to God she'll land. No, I'm a little bit more calculated. I'm a bit scared. So I don't jump out of my comfort zone that easy, just to say it as simple as that. So I kind of need life to push me into things. And there are people on the other spectrum that are more like, no, you know what? I'm packing my bags. I'm going to try this. And I love people who are like that. But I have to know who I am, and I have to be okay with who I am. And I realize I'm not that person. So life had to sort of nudge me into certain areas for me to figure out where I sit comfortably. And so with that question that you asked me, I got fired from a job, because I moved after advertising. I moved into marketing. So I worked for L'Oréal for a year and a half, and then I left and I went back to advertising. So let's just say in the span of 12 years, I was working in corporate. All right. And so when I was fired at one point, I'm like, okay, that was a big, like, you know, and then I had to jump back into it. So with my ego being crushed, with my confidence being crushed, I obviously started questioning things like, do I really want this? Do I want to be in corporate? And I remember the answers being, no, I don't really want this. I don't like what I'm doing. And there were the thought was toggling in my mind, like, should I do something with dance? But obviously my survival mode was like, no, I don't know where to start. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sustain this living, this pay my rent and all that. And so I went back into corporate. So it took 2 times for that to happen, for me to leave another job and then think, wait. I remember being in this spot. I remember thinking I want to do dance. And I remember jumping back into a corporate job and not liking it. So am I going to do this mistake again? You know, so that was one thing. And another thing was I was feeling with age, I was getting a little bit more confident. Like I could do this and I could trust myself. And I was not so worried about the money aspect. So again, a lot of people, you know, have certain priorities in their life, and it's okay that your priorities change. So I remember in my younger years, money was a big priority because I left my home with $500 in my pocket and that was it. And I never took a dollar since from my family. And so I was really on my own. And so at that point I was like, I can't
Rhea. Really independent person.
Yeah, I was 20, but I remember I had $500 and I'm like, great, this is how I'm starting, you know? And so I'm like thinking, I cannot afford to be, you know, out of a job for 3 months because I do have a rent, I do have this, I do, you know, and I had my family depending on me at a certain point as well. So I was like, people depend on me and I can't just go out and sleep on someone's sofa and maybe make it, maybe not. So I had to really look into my priorities. And one of them was the financial aspect was important to me. Later on in my years, so after 30, I was a little bit more, comfortable. And I had savings. And, you know, so I was like, if worst case scenario, if I'm out of a job for 3-4 months, I think I could sustain myself. I think I'll be all right. I won't be eating, you know, from the streets. I can work this out. And so my priority, when it was not like, think of money, think of, paying your rent, don't drop the ball on the people that are depending on you. My priority was, I need to do what I love. I really need to do this. And it was a clear feeling that I want to wake up loving what I'm doing. I do not like this feeling. I remember waking up and going,
dreading going to work.
Dreading to drive to the office, walking in, seeing the same faces. Bless, I love all my colleagues and they're my but sometimes you're just not in the mood for them. You're like, I don't want to see them having to put on a face. You had a bad day, you know, and you're just like, this is not me. It's not me. And as I started like becoming more senior in any corporate job, and I'm not just talking about the company that I was working for, there are politics and things get a bit messy. And I started realizing I'm so out of character. Like, this is not who I am. I don't play these backstabbing games. I am just a jolly person that wants to come in with a nice, cool idea, create something, have some dancers in a room, boom, you know? And so I just said, I need to do this full time. I need to do this full time. And the one thought that kept lingering in my mind when, you know, you're like watch counting, you know, like, oh, how many more hours do I still have until it's 6 o'clock and that I can officially leave the office? I was constantly thinking like, oh my God, these 6 hours, the amount of things I could have done if I was in a studio, the amount of things I could have gotten done if I had the time, but I didn't because I'm in a corporate job and I had to do that. So I said, I owe this to myself to like give full day's worth of time and
That's
energy.
Beautiful. And it is. Life's too short. You owe it to yourself.
Yeah, and I hate to use age as a thing, but to a certain extent, like every year that goes by, you're like, I will never get this year back. I will never get this year back.
Yeah.
So really, it's time wasted. Every minute you're thinking, no, not this time, no, not that time. And like I did that. So I'm like, no, you know, let me try one more time. Let me try this. I looked into different alleys. I really, really did. And every time there was like another door that was being slammed in my face. I wanted to partner up with a dance studio. And then it was like 2-3 years of a discussion and yes, no, back forth. And hung on to it for God knows how long, and I'm thinking, yeah, maybe this is it. Maybe this is gonna be my break. And again, a door slamming in your face. So I think I just took many doors slamming, and I just kind of, dodged them here and there, and found myself thinking, maybe I just should do this on my own, and that was the answer all along, I guess.
That's the strength, exactly. That I think it was just navigating you to find your own strength to actually be who you are and just like do it yourself. So when is the first time that you worked with a brand or a company or on a project where you thought, oh, you know what, this is what I love doing, and this is like where you thought, okay, you know what, I love this work.
Right.
When was that first project or a project that you did or something that was?
It's a good question, because I've danced professionally for years and years now. I think since the age of 18. No, I mean, the first time I was a kid, I had a television gig and whatever in Lebanon, but let's not count that. But like professionally, I was in 1920. I took on a job as a professional dancer.
Yeah.
And ever since, I was dancing and performing for artists, for brands, for companies, for etc. So yes, those were little moments that I felt so alive. I'm like, am I on stage? And Kelly Rowland is about to step on, like there were these moments that surreal to me, like I felt alive. I felt this is where I belong. It's just it's a feeling from your gut, and you know it's real, and you just know this is you. This is where you are meant to be. So those little jobs that I would get hired on were as a dancer were little stepping stones of me feeling like this is everything for me. A video shoot, whatever it is, a stage performance. I've done a lot of those as well. But like the first time I think that I felt a different kind of alive, a different kind of fulfillment was, I think what your question is, when I worked with my first brand. I think that was when I quit my job and I opened my own dance company, and I started introducing myself in the market as like, hi, I'm Rhea, I'm a choreographer, I do this, and, pitching myself as I was doing, but in a different, in a different world of advertising. I started doing it now, my own dance company. And I landed my first job, and I remember thinking like, wow, like this is my work, like this is my choreography, this is, and it was a different sense of fulfillment, and it really, really made me feel like I hit a home run, you have that moment like, I see why I should be doing this right now, because this is the kind of brand I want to work with. This is the kind of work I want to be doing. This is my work, it's not like, I wasn't just hired as a dancer or as a cast or whatever. So the whole concept, the creation of it, everything, I had my input and my say and my creative call on it. So it definitely felt good. So if you're asking, I had Dior that I worked with, and I had Lacoste. So they came at the same time almost. So Lacoste was more of a performance and flash mob kind of thing, and the Dior was for a video shoot for the new collection.
Wonderful. Amazing brands, and what an achievement. So brilliant. That's oh, it makes me want to like this, the feeling, isn't it? It just makes me so proud. Like, wow, that's amazing. Because it's just so nice to see women who have accomplished their whatever they're passionate about, and changing that perception for others. So what I wanted to ask you, what is your creative process then? So if we walk us through your process that you go through as a creative.
All right. Okay. So basically, I'll answer that as I think you're asking me as a choreographer, right? So
yes, exactly.
You get the job, and then you're asked to choreograph the piece, whether it's for a video or a concept or a performance on stage. All right. So I love that you asked me this, because my answer is how I do it.
Yeah, exactly. We want to know how you do your what's your creative process when you're taking on a new project, whatever that may be.
And I wish I actually asked myself that question when I started. I'm like, I wish I could ask someone, what is the creative process? Like how when you're working in a job and they tell you, this is how you do things, A, B, C, D, and you just do it as such, and that's how you learn. And that's how you pass on the knowledge to your intern or to the next person that you're going to hire, right? There was just a manual and a job description. This is how you do things and this is how it works.
Yeah, it's structure, right? It's structure in the corporate world. So like creatively, everybody has their own unique process, which we all learn from, because everybody, especially as a creative, like we've got this interview in the morning. I'm not really a morning person as much as I like love to. I'm a night owl. So what is your creative, what is your creative process?
Right. So basically it starts off by agreeing on the idea. What's the idea? Right. What is your idea? And mind you, sometimes there is no idea, and I'm happy to make the idea for them. But like sometimes there is an idea for a campaign, whatever it is. This is our idea. So once I nail the idea and I understand, we know what the theme is, I can start from there. That's my starting point. So let's put the idea in a little bubble, and then I can start like drawing these little like sun rays where I can start thinking, so with this kind of idea, that means I can go down, this kind of execution. This is what I want to do. I start to feel a bit of like the mood. So with the mood comes a few things. I need to think of the music. It's a very big aspect to me. So with this idea, so idea A, this is the kind of music that fits it, hip hop. Okay, so we established that it's not anything, Marvin Gaye. It's nothing that's gonna make you like, cry, box and all that. So
we're trying to get the ambience. Yeah.
Exactly. So I have to go through music. So I spend a lot of time on music. I'll dive into that separately, and then look, like how do I see this? Is it summary? Is it So I kind of like envision a look. Like I see a lot of like dark makeup. I see this. So whatever it is that I kind of see, and then when I have music and I have like sort of a look, I kind of like the groove, the moves, the choreography kind of falls into place. So I lock myself in the studio. COVID time, I was at home a lot, but home has become my new studio. And so the combination of music, understanding the idea, helps a lot in the creation process. Now, it goes without saying that there's a lot of back and forth meetings with the client. So I need to see, for example, the space, the stage. What does the stage look like? That all plays a role. So if the stage is a ramp or it's a circular stage or there's an elevation or not, is there a screen? There's a lot that I ask. I'm constantly asking because you just never know. One little piece of information can spark a new dimension to your creativity. So for instance, if I had a client once telling me, oh yeah, we have this, we have that. And then you fail to mention something like we have laser lights. And I'm like, laser lights? Interesting. So, you start to like your idea. I didn't think of laser lights in my initial concept. And I'm like, wait, if you could provide laser lights, now I want to do something different, because you can play. And truly today, the world of dance, and this is what I want to tell the young dancers out there. I once upon a time thought that dance was linear. Yeah. You train, you become a certified dancer or professional dancer. Perhaps you'll get something between 20 to 200 gigs. It could range from, being Beyonce's backup dancer to, I don't know, performing in the Super Bowl. And then it will die down. You'll probably teach or choreograph, boom, end of career. That's how we all thought. And if by teaching, if you didn't end up getting a career where you're performing as a dancer, you're probably going to teach or open your own dance school. That's pretty much what I thought dance had. Dance has way more to offer. And there's so many things you can do as a dancer. I mean, for God's sake, there's something called, I discovered the other day, what is it called? I forgot the name. There's a job for someone, a water choreographer. So the Dubai fountains, the Dubai dancing fountains.
Yeah,
there's
cool.
a choreographer who choreographs the water movement. So there's an actual job, and I knew who the choreographer was. He was one of the winners on So You Think You Could Dance, which is the biggest TV show. And so this guy had made it to choreographing the water movement. So there's a lot to do that, a lot.
Yeah,
and so that's
an element, isn't it? Water is a big element, like fire, water. It's a big element. So how amazing!
amazing. And so
Wow.
literally I'm like, wow, there are laser lights, great. We could probably do something like this. So maybe the choreography is not going to hold most of the creativity. And the creativity is going to lie also within the lighting. So again, what I do, the dancing aspect of it is my level of expertise. But the creativity doesn't necessarily need to lie just in the dancing. And so that's why it's very important for me to ask the questions that I said earlier, that I'm talking to the client, asking them, who are your suppliers? What are you doing? What are the elements do you have? Do you have a visual screen? Do you have this? Because everything together, all these different people that are working together will come up with the creative idea. Not just me, not just me, not just her. It's a team effort. So I work a lot in a team. And because I think you asked me this earlier, I worked in advertising. Everything you do is a teamwork. You work with the creative team, with the planning, with the, you don't ever do the job on your own. It does not exist. So I'm not used to that. And anywhere else in my life that I went through alleys and I started noticing that, oh, this person works on his own. This person is a one-man show. It didn't really vibe well, because I'm more of a team effort. I'm more of like, I could learn from you, you could learn from me. You know, none of us is the beholder of the most amazing idea, you know? So yeah, that's how it happens. I get all the different elements involved. I lock myself in a studio. I start to create. The way I do my choreography, I sometimes freestyle. Like I feel it, I just freestyle. Sometimes I'll put a little camera in the corner just to film me while I'm doing it. I'll watch it later. Then I'll be like, I like this. No, this sucks. I fix it around, and then I create my show. I get my dancers. I hire them. I run rehearsals across however many days it needs to create the show, and I work with makeup artists, hairstylists. I work with costume designers. These are all people I hire separately. When the costume designer, for example, comes in and I brief him or her, I love to give my input. I am not a stylist myself, but I also
you have a vision, right? Like you have a vision for your project. So obviously that's
correct.
Translated, and either the stylist or makeup artist, they really enhance your vision.
Yes.
You know, that's what they're there for, isn't it? The other elements or the layers that go in, it's really to enhance that project or that vision that you have.
100%, exactly. And I'll just say, like, I just see like a hat. Like I choreograph using hats, and then they'll just do the hat, design the hat, put it in, or you know. So and it's beautiful. Like, and I'm constantly there from like day one till like the day we step on stage. I'm like, we create this beautiful energy. From the rehearsals, there's certain dancers that I've been working with for years and years and years. They're my friends, and there's some dancers that I just hire and I meet then and there. But by the end of the gig or the show or the performance, we're all like super friendly. There's like a beautiful vibe that goes on because we're just like, you know, it's tired together, rehearsing together.
Yeah, no, there's an intimacy. There's a great connection when people dance, or it's like eating food, like anything creative, right? Like I think having food together or cooking, also the same kind of, you know, doing a catwalk or we're on a show, same kind of feeling, and it's all about feeling. Somebody asked me about the styling, and I said, for me, it's not visual. It's the feeling that I have to get first when I see somebody. You know, you should be emotionally moved by that picture, by the aesthetics. It's got to be 3D for me. It's you're not looking just at an image. I want you to feel something when you look at it. So, absolutely. So, my question is, can anybody dance?
Good question.
I mean, I love dance. I must say, I'm a music lover. I love bopping around. In the morning, I'll have I'll do my prayers, and then afterwards, I'll have my tea and I'll have a little spin around, or I'll put something on. And my mother's saying, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just like," and it is for me. It's a dopamine hit. Like I really love it. So music moves me completely. But can everybody dance?
Yes, I think everybody can dance. Can everyone become a professional dancer? Can it become their career? No, no. Because yes, there's certain things like some people have rhythm and some people just don't. They just don't get it. Some people, coordination is not something that comes.
Yes.
And again, the age aspect. I think yes to the question. Any age can dance. Any age absolutely can dance. But also you have to be mindful that at a certain point in your life, your body can't do certain things. So it depends on what kind of dance. So for example,
so kind of flexibility, the flexibility? Yeah.
So if you're like 70 and you're telling me I want to do contemporary dancing, I'm probably going to say it's a bit difficult. You know, your body doesn't move the way
Yeah.
that it should for a contemporary piece. But to dance, to get a groove, to
Yeah.
get like an energy flow, yes, you can
Yeah.
dance at 70 for sure.
So it's a skill that we can all learn. Yes.
For sure. That's the key thing. It's a skill that
Yeah.
you learn. Like anything in life, you learn how to drive, you learn how to ride a bicycle, you learn how to pick up a sport like football, like tennis, whatever it is. So you're not gonna start your first day of a tennis or piano or painting and be excellent, right? There's sucking at the beginning, and then there's getting a little bit better, then there's improvement.
Practice.
So
Lots of practice.
lots of practice. So why I think a lot of people think quit dancing, or they say I can't dance, or they don't believe in what I'm saying that yes, everyone can dance, because they probably gave up too soon. They went to one class, realized one's good, I suck, and left and never came back. Egos kick in big time with dance for some reason. And I understand why, because you can look at yourself in the mirror and think, like, you can really look at yourself and think, oh my God, I look ridiculous. But you don't really get that feeling in another sport, in ping pong, in basketball.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
But
like
then I see some dancers, Rhea, who are not a great dancers, but they have so much love for their craft, and they do it in the moment so much that they make you feel like you can dance as well, right? Like this, like just take TikTok, for example. There's people that aren't the most amazing dancers on TikTok, or some really are, but the ones that kind of attract me are the ones that like just have so much, they've got smile on their face, they just love, they're just loving, they're like in the moment, that the dance music and everything has just become one, you know, and they love it. So I don't know, like I feel that there's so many people that for me, you know, that energy that you put into your dance is you know, is most important, you know.
it's energy, it's commitment, it's a skill. Like we said, like you do have to come back to it, and you have to realize that it's not going to happen fast. Yeah. So and it depends your level, right? So some people, whether they're the people that you're mentioning, the ones that are on TikTok, whatever, they're probably naturally good. Naturally, they have this groove, this vibe, and so turning on a piece of music, the movement comes a little bit easier than someone else.
Yeah.
So it depends on that level that you have to train it. And in anything, I mean, even me, I'm a professional dancer, I still have to train. It just never is like, boom, I'm there. And so if you're willing to put the hours, to put the time, to put the mindset, to be patient with yourself, then yes, everyone can dance.
What's your favorite genre at the moment? What is it that you're really into? You know, what's the dance forte, or the genre? The genre that you like at the moment. What is your what do we know you for?
I hate it when people ask me this question because I don't have a favorite. but I'll tell you this: I'm a versatile dancer, so I was trained in all styles. I pretty much go from ballet to hip hop to heels dancing to jazz, contemporary. I can even do a 1-2 step of salsa. I'll probably work my way around it. I love Latin dancing. So
What's your favorite? What's one thing that you're like, yeah, when it comes on, you just cannot stop. You have to get up. Yeah.
I'll tell you two things. One of my favorites, which I'm actually very good at, which a lot of people have told me, this is where you very comfortably, is jazz. I'm a jazz dancer. I know
nice.
A jazz dancer. It's in my bones almost. But then I feel like I can't own it as a jazz dancer, because I love a hip hop track, and I love hip hop movement, and I love it so much.
Yeah,
but I also love heels. I love heels because it's very sensual and feminine, and it's very much down my alley. I love this slower paced, sensual dancing. But I also love ballet so much. I love it.
Music and dance, isn't it very mood dependent? Because you know, like whatever you feel, and because you know, music is a feeling, right? Like you kind of create that, and then so whatever you're feeling, your mood, you express that with dance. So I think it's very mood dependent. Like for me, you know, 1 minute I will put, like, I might go from opera to like Indian classical to hip hop, you know, and it just depends. You know, my friends like, why are you listening to heavy metal? And I was like, well, actually, my cousins brought me up on it. You know, they were like total freaks, like, you know, I Black Sabbath to the Eagles, to like from Bob Marley. And so I am so exposed to music that I think if you're a true music lover, you appreciate all music, right?
Exactly. That's the same thinking. Like music, I could not just like listen to I don't know, pop all the time. Like at one point, like I'm not in the mood for this. I love listening to classical music, for instance. So same with dancing. It's a mood. Like there's a certain time where I'm feeling like I need a ballet, to be standing on a bar, to hear the first note of the piano. Like this is therapy. It really is. But then there's also a beautiful vibe to this energy created in a hip hop class where you're just like bouncing and you know. So I can't. I just say that every style I do, I love it so much, and that's why I perform in it. I teach it. I teach all styles also. So
how did you get into your teaching? And you have your studio in Dubai. So if anybody wants to come on by, tell us more about how you got into like actually doing your studio. So when did that? Because I think I saw something about 2 years ago, and you didn't have your studio at that time. But
no, so actually, I don't have my own studio yet.
Right. Oh, okay. Or it's coming. We've
manifested it. I teach remotely, so I teach in different spaces. But my company, where I teach dance, it's called 567 Ray.
I love it. I love it. I love the name. When I saw it, I was like, this is so apt. It's so good. Yeah. Excellent.
Thank you. Yeah, I felt it was so me, by the way.
Yeah.
You know how when you're trying to come up, I was just having a discussion with friends the other day. They were rebranding their own business, and we got into talking about that. And they're like, "Oh, how did you get the name of your business? How did you get the name of yours?" And whatever. And it was very funny that we both agreed that the one thing that we did not ask people, your surroundings, your friends, your husbands, like their opinions, was the name of your brand. And it just so naturally came to me without having
to come from you. Because it has to come from you, because you are the creator of it. So, and if you don't do it, then you won't be able to connect with it. So like when you see your name, like when I saw it, I was like, love the name. And
it's like, it literally is like 5, 6. I've been saying this since I don't say 1 to 3, you know, like even if I'm taking a photo, I'm taking a video of my husband, I'll be like, okay, on 5, 6, 7, right? He's like, what's 5, 6, 7? You know, like I'm
saying that now. It's quite catchy.
There's no 1 to 3 in my vocabulary, but anyway. But like the logo and the branding and the colors, yes, I did have to consult with people. That I gave to other people who are brilliant, creative minds that did it for me. But the name just felt natural. So yes, back to your question. Where I teach in Dubai, I teach remotely, and the best way to know what I teach, where I teach, which age groups I teach, is to email me. I have an email address dedicated for this up until my website is up and running, and it's still in the works at the moment. But because a lot of people didn't know, for instance, that I teach kids, they thought that I only teach adults, or vice versa, that I only teach adults. I didn't have kids classes. So the email address, I'll probably say here, is Alive with Ray. So ALIVEWITH. And I teach kids from the age of 3 up until my age and older. I teach all styles. So I teach pre-ballet, mini hip-hop, and it goes up in the levels. So I teach commercial dancing, technical dancing. So everything like we just discussed, which is ballet, contemporary jazz, hip-hop, heels for the older ones, 16 plus. And yeah, it's been growing, and I'm having a nice community of dancers of all age groups, and it's so beautiful to see the growth. It's so beautiful to see, you know, parents bringing back their kids. It's so nice to see older people that, for instance, that had quit dance a few years back, decided to come back, and now they've been in my classes for a year or two now. The improvements is skyrocketing. It's just a very nice feeling. I feel the teaching aspect of my job is really rewarding. It was the one that kind of still survived in COVID, because the performance died out a bit. And soon enough, and I'm happy I'm actually saying this on our podcast, because I haven't really said it yet.
Oh, wonderful. Great news, yes.
Is I'm creating a platform where I'll be hosting my classes online. So I'll get now a wider audience outside of the UAE. to be able to take my classes and
Oh,
courses.
well needed. I'm signing up.
Yay! My first student online. I did a bunch of courses online in COVID, but it was on Instagram and it was a separate platform.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it now a little bit bigger, a little bit,
Wonderful.
nicer.
Wonderful.
So,
yeah.
Absolutely. It will be pre-recorded. So what I did on Instagram was very, very much live. So it was me standing at a certain time in front of the camera doing it. And now I felt like with life getting back to normal, people can't really commit to the time that I'm choosing. And it's hard with the different time zones. So I'm making it pre-recorded and I'm having it there for you to do it at your own time.
Oh, wonderful. At our own pace. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. I always find that also dance is kind of, for me, a replacement of exercise. Like, I'm not one to go to the gym, work out, and just like that takes a lot of effort. For me, when, when I'm just, I don't even call it dancing. I call it kind of just movement. I'm just in my own element, doing my own thing. There's so many benefits to dance, it really kind of, and you have to move the body every day. I feel that, especially with 1 year of COVID, it's just been that no one's gone out and done anything, but you have to have that movement. And I think, dance does that so gracefully as well. It just fits in. Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Sorry, you hit the nail on its head, because a lot of people, they want to be active, but they just cannot do something like, squat reps in a gym or holding weights. It's just boring and it's lifeless. It really is lifeless. And so I honestly, I can relate big time to the people that want to do a form of exercise that is fun. And that's what I always tell my students, anyone who listens to my class or any other class, is that you're getting exercise, you're being active, but it's fun. And this is one question I always ask my kids, like, why do you dance? Like, I'll just throw this question out. They're like, oh, because I love it. Oh, because I love to dance, or it's my passion. And then they throw out these answers. And I'm like, no. Why do you dance? Like, think, really, why? And then one answer that when they really think, which is the simplest answer and the true answer, is always because it's fun. Like, it's fun. And whoever is going to tell you otherwise is just a big fat liar. Like, it's so fun, and we've done it since we were kids. And life conditioned us to be aware of things, and now we stop because, I look foolish. But truly, it's just fun. You cannot not listen to a track that you like and not just move around in the way that your body feels comfortable. So if you just start at that point, dancing is fun. I want to do it because it really is something that releases endorphins, makes my mood better. It's therapeutic. The workout you get out of it is insane because you're really working every muscle in your body, but you're not really thinking that you're flexing.
It doesn't seem like you're working out. It doesn't seem strenuous or boring or hard work, because you're in that element. Have you had a time where you've had a real creative block though, and you've thought, I'm just stuck? What do you do in the moments where you find you're challenged and you're stuck? What do you do in that moment?
Yeah, definitely. It comes to everyone where you just feel, I don't know if I'm going to call it a block, but I look at it, I go like, I don't feel creative. It's not impressive, and this doesn't feel creative. It just feels like meh, it feels that it feels a bit dull. It doesn't have like, I'm not impressed with it. And if I'm not impressed with it, I don't feel like, so yeah, I think sometimes when that happens, I take a step back, I reassess things. Sometimes I'll go back to the drawing board. I'll probably scrap the whole thing, pick a different music. So I can't really, there's not probably one specific way, but sometimes it's just like the music you chose is really bad. I allow myself to be non-creative. I allow it. I go like, okay, today's not happening. Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And then I'll just leave it. And when I come back to it, maybe the next day, maybe in 3 hours, whatever it is, that I was in a bad mood earlier, or something happened, I had an argument with someone, so there's no creative juices. Probably if I went to the beach and I came back and I'm in a happier mood, something would have made the moves flow better, things come more natural. So yes.
Yeah, you can't force creativity, can you? And I think if it's not coming, then you can't force it. You can't wait for it to come. It's not one of those things. And again, like you said, it's a feeling, so it's not.
And there were times actually I had deadlines with clients, for instance, and I'm like, okay, great. And then at one point I'm like, oh my God, I'm due to send this today, but I just don't think it's nice. I know I could do a better job.
Yeah.
And so I would take that upon myself and message the client and say, I know we agreed for today, but I think I need another go at it. Give me 2 more days and you'll have a better outcome. They trust me right away. They're like, yeah, sure. You know what? Take 2 days, like even if deadlines in Dubai, how they are.
Yeah.
I'm quite impressed. I love it. Like people understand that, sometimes it didn't work, because the amount of time didn't allow the certain ideas to flow, and I just needed a bit more time to polish it or whatever. So they were quite understanding, and I was just straight up. I'm like, I don't know why I'm not feeling inspired. I'm not feeling creative. The outcome. I edited. I looked at the video. The way I saw it wasn't the way I imagined it.
Yeah.
I can to you have a look, but I don't really.
Be honest. Yeah, it's good to be honest with that whole process, because then it just makes your clients give you more confidence in them and in the work that you're doing to be absolutely.
In essence, I'm quite prepared. I really, really do homework ahead of time. So if I'm on set or if I have to do, whatever it is, I'm quite prepared at a rehearsal or at whatever. So I'm not the type that just, my creativity is spontaneous and it comes out at the moment. I wish I was, and I respect choreographers that do things like this. I'm quite prepared. So I give myself time. So in case I have blocks, in case I need to change things, so that by the time I'm filming, I'm at the shoot, whatever it is that I'm doing, it's the outcome I love, So I know very well that I took the time to make sure that every part of it is creative, And another thing is, now that I thought of it, is I ask for help. I actually ask for help. I have been the shyest person to reach out for help in my careers.
Yeah.
And then I switched completely. I've become the person that picks up the phone and says, hi, I need your help. And I will find a creative idea, even in dance, doesn't need to come from another choreographer. I can ask you, I can ask my sister, I can ask my husband, I can ask someone who has a different eye, who perhaps is in the industry of a creative artsy industry, and that can probably say a word or probably tell me, no, this does not look good, so that I could then assess it from their point of view and change it up,
Yeah,
so I definitely use that as a different strategy. I'll ask for help. I'll be like, guys, there's a part that I'm stuck. I don't think it goes well. What do you think I can do?
Yeah.
I'll ask another fellow dancer friend of mine, can you help me with this? I'm okay with that, because I would do the same for someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I think we concentrate on something that's so much that we can't see beyond our own selves, and we're just so stuck on an idea. And sometimes a different perspective is really good, and someone to say, like, no, what, do it this way, or I think you missed this, and so we're all creatives, aren't we? And we all have our own angle in the way that we think. So it's always nice. I always think collaboration is great, to connect with others, because you can't do it all yourself. Is really, really important. How important has your family been in your whole creative journey? Because your husband is a chef. How amazing is that? Like the whole creativity process. So, do you think creatives should marry creatives, and how has it enhanced your life? The understanding of it all.
Right. Actually, my husband, he's a chef. He does it as pure passion, by the way. It's just a passion that came about during COVID.
Oh, and really? Oh,
he always used to cook. He always used to cook, but the videos that you're seeing online started in COVID. I'm like, how about I film this? How about this? And so, because boredom, I was like, I have nothing to do. Let me just edit a video of yours, and we'll see where it goes. And it just caught on, and people loved it.
I saw the one when I think it's with the knives, and it was really moody, and it was real. I was like, oh my God, like what's going on here? It was so. I was like, oh wow, is this cooking? This is something else. Is it the ad for the knife, or is it cooking? And I was like, wow, there's such a presence in that video. I was like, this is good.
With friends of ours, a shout out to Adi's Brothers. They're an amazing production company, and they also started their business in COVID. And
wonderful.
Like this, and then they rolled out their own company right now, so it's great. And and it was just like, how everybody was like great in their own element. So he was amazing in videography and editing, and Misha's amazing in cooking, and I was kind of directing, like, oh, you should do this, and maybe like, I'll give you the apple and you chop it in this way or whatever, so everybody started throwing in their ideas, and I think that's how things happen. And so back to your question, I mean, no, I don't think like a couple have to be of the same background. Like it does help for sure. I always look at Misha sometimes, I go, she's a dancer, like sometimes I need to do like a choreography with like a lift or something, and I'm like, it would be great if you knew how to do things to see if it works, but no, it's not necessary. It does, it creates a nice vibe at home that, yes, we're not on completely different planets. So while his artistic side is more into the cooking and whatnot, he has a very good eye for dancing, believe it or not. Like he gives me so much input on my work, especially in things like attention to detail with like choreography and moves, and because he loves to watch, and so he's been around, he's seen, so he knows what is creative, what's not. And his job was in advertising as well. So again, the advertising aspect of it with the campaigns and creative ideas and all that. So when I need to bounce an idea off him, even if it's not like the choreography itself and the dance movement, it's more like, oh, I'm doing a contemporary piece about blah, 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 blah. What do you think? Does this idea sound appealing? So he definitely gives me his opinion on it, and it definitely helps to have his input on it. And so in the house it's quite nice because he loves his art when it comes to cooking. I suck in cooking. I don't know how to do anything. He does
great position you gave then your husband to be, he married a chef.
Oh, I'm so lucky with that, by the way. I married a chef, and like ever since, I'm grateful every day for the food he puts on the table.
Alhamdulillah. Wonderful. That's so great. And you actually have I just have to quickly mention before we sign off, like you actually have an additional member to your family, and I've seen this parrot, this beautiful creature pop up, and so cute, and I think I've seen it in your sister's videos as well. Like such a kind of, I think that's the additional member of your family.
Yeah, I mean, talk about like the livelihood in the house, like between someone dancing and music going around, and then Mish cooking, and then things happening in the house, and us just like basically playing jokes with jokes on each other. Then the parrot comes in. The parrot's not mine. I mean, he's my sister's.
Oh, right. Okay.
But sort of mine, because I love him like he's my own son too.
Right.
And we share custody of him because me and my sister were living together, and so the parrot was living with both of us.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so now it's like if I want some time with him, because he's just a vibrant soul. Like,
oh my God, it's so really, I don't know if it's osmosis that your creativity and that passion and that liveliness has just gone into that parrot. What's the parrot's name, by the way? What was it? It was
Poncho. His name is Poncho.
But it was so cute.
Yeah, and I think, yes, definitely what you're saying, like this whole aura has gotten into he dances, by the way. We do this like hands-on, me and my sister, and then he starts to, because he's a parrot, he imitates. He does it, and like now he's done his own spin on it, where he goes like side to side. He does this one, and I'm like, what have I created? A dancer and a parrot.
Wait, I think he has to have his own show. I think he needs to have his own show.
Not next time. Next time when I'm in Dubai, I'll have like a little feature of Poncho.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really great kind of side act on the way, but no, really wonderful. So where do you see
anyone who has a pet at home can relate? Like there's definitely a different vibe, a more loving feeling and energy in the house with a pet. And any pet. And did I ever think I would have a parrot? No, because I was always a dog person. But I mean, I swear that he's amazing, and I feel like he has a soul of a dog or any other pet for that matter.
Yeah, he's got his own presence. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, give and take, So he has beautiful energy to him. Both my sister and I are completely like head over heels over him.
So
like,
adorable. Absolutely.
So spoiled.
Yeah, no, really adorable. What does the future hold for yourself? Where do you see yourself, and where is the future of dance and women, especially in this industry in Dubai, in the Middle East? How do you see it evolving in the next 5 years?
Right. So I think I'm going to talk now from a from a reality point of view, which is the world we live in today has something called a pandemic still in it, and
Yeah.
I think everybody's now trying to maneuver around this and trying to be careful with it. I think the way things will come back slowly. We will have the entertainment, we will have the shows, we'll have big concerts with people, bunch of people in the audience, and
Can't
I
wait.
cannot wait for that moment to happen. Really can't wait.
Yeah.
Um, but I think we just have to be cautious and very, very calculated at the moment. Whether you're an instructor or whether you're a student coming to the class, we just have to, we just have to like be mindful of the fact that every moment we have in that classroom or in a rehearsal or whatever is a blessing, because you just never know when it's going to be taken away from you. Um, the I think in the Middle East at the moment, um, things are opening up. Things are doing well. I think now with Expo happening in Dubai,
Mhm.
the entertainment scene is
Yeah.
much bigger. There's movement. Definitely, there's movement. I feel whether it is on the classes front or on the performance front, where I come in as a choreographer or performer or whatnot. And I'm excited because
Are
I
you
really
involved? Are you in? Are you personally involved in anything to do with Expo? Are you involved with anything going
there
on?
are talks.
Can't
There are
say.
some talks in the
Yeah.
at the moment
Oh, good.
happening. Um, we'll see if it happens. It
Yeah.
happens. And but yeah, there's just a lot happening, and I feel like Dubai has been a very um, I mean, in terms of restrictions, it has been quite lenient compared to the rest of the world. I know a lot of
Yeah.
the dancers have
Yes.
left
Yes.
their country to come to Dubai to find work there because there was potential.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that. I'm also very aware that like dance is very accessible now. And to your question, like where are we taking it in the next few years? It's very accessible. And I, for one, I'm in awe of like the international choreographers of the world that have made their curriculums, their master classes, their workshops accessible online. You know, during this.
Mm.
So now it has showed us that it's quite easy to dance anywhere in the world with whoever you want. And so I, for one, want to build on that as Rhea, as 567 Ray Dance Company. And I'm hoping that I can now start to elevate this beyond the UAE. And, you know, like I said, I'm opening an online platform, hopefully for people to take classes internationally. I'm also hoping to take my work and my professionalism and my choreography skill set outside of the UAE and hopefully to Europe. And hence why I'm here in Athens and
Mm.
scouting, seeing like, is there are there things that I can do? Because I have been immersed, lucky enough to be immersed in a world where entertainment and events are quite abundant in the UAE, and
Yes.
every there's
Absolutely.
something.
The best of the best kind of perform. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Exactly. There's like a red carpet every day somewhere
Yeah.
somehow, and
Yeah.
so I'm hoping to like bring that uh, experience that I have and expertise to different cities and to maybe inject my Middle Eastern vibe into it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
work with different
Absolutely.
people from all around the world because dance is a universal language of the
Mm.
soul. It really is, as cheesy as you might say,
Yes.
as it might sound. It is, and therefore I want to work universally. I want it to go beyond. You know, I am an Arab woman. I am Middle Eastern, but I think we could do amazing things everywhere in the world, not just in the Middle East. I proudly represent the Middle East. I proudly represent Lebanon, and I would love to do things for my country and for within the roots that I was born in. But also,
Mm.
I feel like I want the world to see, the Western world to see, like
Yes.
what comes out of our culture. We have a lot of, soul in us. We have a lot of creativity in us that I am hoping that, I can extend it with future collaborations, future
Mm.
concept videos, future performances, not just in the Middle East
Yeah.
and the UAE, but even outside.
Yeah.
So for that.
So quick rapid round that we just have some
Rapid
fun
question.
questions, and so just to get to know you a little bit better and a poignant one. So a couple of questions are: what's your favorite color?
Peach.
Oh, peach. Oh, okay. Favorite place?
Place
Favorite
like
destination?
country.
Yeah.
The US.
Yes.
That
And
more specific?
well, anywhere in particular in the US?
I think New York or Los Angeles. New York, Los Angeles.
Oh,
It's so hard.
okay. All right. Yeah.
Los Angeles. Los Angeles.
Okay. Yeah. Sun or snow?
Sun.
Oh, the sun lover. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay. And if you got a chance to dance with somebody, like if I had a magic wand and I was like, okay, who do you would like to dance? Let me grant you a wish. Who would you love to dance with?
Dead or alive?
Both. Both.
Michael Jackson.
Ah, really? Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
I mean, the pop and
Yeah, of course, of course. I think we've all been,
magical.
yeah, magical.
His
And
dancing
anybody,
has set a standard that has changed lives of many, 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 many. And I grew up to music and to him and to watching him on like MTV, and so it would be great. I mean, there's so many, but if I have to pick one,
yeah. So anybody alive that you would maybe in the future would love to collaborate or dance with?
Oh wow! Now this is reality. Now
this is reality.
I mean, there's a lot, but
there's one person that you'd love to dance with. Who would it be right now?
To just dance with, or to like from?
You just say you're gonna just do a project with or work with. Who would that person be?
Okay, I think. Oh, Maryum, that's a hard question. All right, okay, so I think I would love to work, like I would love to dance, be on stage or something with Beyonce. It would be amazing to have that experience in my life. Yeah, she's phenomenal as a performer, and
phenomenal. Work ethic is amazing.
Amazing. So just to be part of her crew and to dance with her, it would be just a huge tick on my bucket list. But to work with, and I think like I have a lot of respect for her work, for her visions, for the way she conducts herself as a creative creature, would be Paris Gobel. An international choreographer.
Wonderful.
Phenomenal work for phenomenal shows, and yeah, I just see that she's brilliant. She's worked her way up, and I think I would learn a lot from her. And I think it would be, if the question is who would you like to work with and collaborate with, I think I would love to have her 2 cents on certain things that I'd love to learn for my own career. So yeah.
Wonderful. And the best advice that you've been given in your career, in your dance career?
I think it would be take every rejection to fuel you as something that can fuel you to push harder to reach your goals. So in dance, believe it or not, it's one of the hardest industries to be in, because the amount of rejection you get is unreal almost. Ask any dancer in the world, and they hands down tell you they've been rejected way more than having reached a certain goal or a dream or an audition that they were aiming to get. And so dancers have to have thick skin. It definitely is a requirement. It will not work unless they understand that this is what comes with the job. That you will probably kill yourself physically. Your body will feel so tired, mental exhaustion, all that, and you might hit the end of the road with a big fat no, and it crushes you. Definitely does. I'm never going to say a rejection is not something that hurts, but you have to know how to use each rejection to your benefit. So I think that was the best advice I've taken along the way, that I could have easily let certain rejections put me down, but when I was told that, and I started to apply it on myself and take every rejection as a learning, as understanding, why did I get rejected from this? Why didn't this work out? Maybe this so and so happened. You take them as learnings for your next one, or as fuel. Like, I didn't make that audition. Great, I'm going to use this for the next one, and for the next. So it definitely is something that helps. And in life, you get rejected all the time, right? Like, and I always say this to people, like, even like if I just told you right now, I'm I'm never shy to ask for help. I always say like, hey, Maryum, I need your help with so and so and so. If you can't, just tell me no, and it's fine. And I give you an easy way out, because a lot of people think if I say no, that's like rejecting. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay. A no is a no. You know? So I just feel like it really helped shape who I am today, because
wonderful advice.
you know, it could have gone very, very differently. And I just don't want other people to feel like whatever slams they have to think it's worth quitting. It's not. It really is not. It's nothing is worth the quit. It's worth every fight, because something else will come. And you will see, you will connect the dots backwards. You will realize like, thank you for closing the door in my face. Thank you for rejecting me. I'm so happy.
Absolutely.
This is where I'm meant to be.
They say that rejection is just redirection.
It is 100%.
And
100%.
so I think that whatever that point is, you know, it brings you to this point. So where you think that you were going to be, but where you are is where you're meant to be.
Love it. Yeah, I love it. 100%.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this creative conversation. First dancer female on our podcast. And oh my God, we could talk for hours. We could talk for hours, but it was so delightful. And I hope our audience gets a lot out of it, and those who are looking to start their career. So thank you so much for a lovely interview. You know, wish you all the best in your career. Whenever we do and able to move away from England and lockdown, you know, I'm coming to Dubai and coming to see you. Yeah, and definitely look out for those online classes, and I will let me know, and I will announce them to our audience as well. Thank you so much. What a great guest, and I wish you all the success in the future.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you very, very much for your time.